Imagine opening your eyes just before sunrise nearly 5,000 years ago. The cool morning air drifts through the doorway of your small mud brick home. Outside, the Nile River reflects the first golden rays of the sun while birds call from the reeds. Farmers are already walking toward the fields. Fishermen push their wooden boats into the calm water, and the smell of fresh bread slowly fills the village. When most people think about ancient Egypt, they imagine one thing: pyramids. They picture thousands of exhausted workers dragging enormous stone blocks across the desert under the burning sun. It creates the impression that every Egyptian spent every day performing backbreaking labor. But history tells a much more fascinating story. The truth is that most Egyptians never worked on a pyramid at all. The average person was far more likely to be a farmer, a potter, a carpenter, a fisherman, a baker, or a brewer. Others became skilled craftsmen or scribes who recorded taxes, harvests, and royal orders. Their daily lives were surprisingly organized, and unlike our modern schedules, they followed the rhythm of nature rather than the ticking of a clock. Everything in Egypt depended on one extraordinary river, the Nile. Without it, Egypt would have been little more than endless desert. Every year, rain falling hundreds of miles away in the Ethiopian highlands caused the Nile to overflow its banks. The flood covered nearby farmland with nutrient-rich black soil that made agriculture possible. To us, a flood sounds like a disaster. To an Egyptian farmer, it was the beginning of a new year. Instead of dividing the year into spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the Egyptians followed three natural seasons. The first was Akhet, the season of flooding. Next came Peret, when the waters slowly retreated and farmers planted wheat, barley, vegetables, and flax into the fresh soil. Finally came Shemu, the harvest season, when entire communities worked together to gather crops before the intense summer heat arrived. This yearly cycle completely changed the way people worked. During Akhet, much of the farmland disappeared beneath water. There was simply no way to plow flooded fields. Instead of forcing people to work without purpose, society adapted. Families repaired their homes, cleaned irrigation canals, sharpened farming tools, built boats, wove baskets, and visited relatives they had not seen for months. Many also joined government construction projects. This is where one of history's biggest myths begins to disappear. For generations, people believed the pyramids were built almost entirely by slaves. Modern archaeology paints a very different picture. Many workers were actually skilled craftsmen and seasonal farmers who worked for the state during the flood season when their own land was underwater. They received food, clothing, medical care, housing, and daily rations for their labor. It was demanding work, but it was organized, skilled, and often temporary. Excavations near the Giza pyramids have uncovered planned workers' villages, complete with bakeries, breweries, kitchens, sleeping quarters, and even evidence of medical treatment. Broken bones healed correctly, suggesting injured workers were cared for instead of being abandoned. That tells us something important. Ancient Egypt valued skilled labor. Of course, life was never easy. The summer sun was unforgiving. Every task required physical strength because there were no engines, tractors, cranes, or electricity. Everything depended on human hands, simple tools, clever engineering, and teamwork. Yet something about their lifestyle feels surprisingly different from our own. Modern life often expects people to maintain the same pace every day of the year. Emails never stop, phones continue ringing, offices stay open regardless of the weather. Many people carry work home with them every evening. Ancient Egyptians rarely lived that way. Nature decided when people worked hard and when they rested. When the Nile flooded, there was no point worrying about unfinished farming. The fields were underwater. Everyone understood that. Instead of feeling guilty, they simply focused on other useful tasks or enjoyed valuable time with family and neighbors. Religion also played an enormous role in everyday life. Ancient Egypt celebrated dozens of religious festivals every year. Temples filled with music, priests carried sacred statues through the streets, families gathered for enormous public celebrations, and many forms of ordinary work slowed or stopped completely. These festivals were not considered wasted time. They strengthened communities, honored the gods, and reminded everyone that life was about more than producing food or building monuments. Music echoed through towns. Children played in the streets. Merchants sold bread, fruit, beer, and handmen.